What happens when a camera keeps rolling after the press conference ends? Sometimes you catch the truth nobody wanted you to hear. A Cleveland sports reporter just got caught on a hot mic absolutely roasting Dillon Gabriel, and what he said reveals something way bigger than one embarrassing moment. This isn't just about a reporter being unprofessional. This is about the complete collapse of a narrative that never made sense in the first place, and Browns fans everywhere are watching it crumble in real time. Chris Easterling of the Akron Beacon-Journal thought the cameras were off. He thought he could let the professional mask slip. And then he started mouthing off to his colleagues, mocking Gabriel's height, repeating, "I'm taller than him," like some middle school bully who just found his next target. This is the same media that spent months telling us Gabriel was the answer. The supercomputer. The guy who processes information faster than everyone else on the field. Now they're laughing at him when they think nobody's listening. But here's the thing that makes this moment so much bigger than just one reporter getting caught saying something stupid. This leaked footage is the first crack in a dam that's been holding back months of lies, manipulation, and organizational dysfunction. Because while Dillon Gabriel is getting openly mocked by the media that was supposed to protect him, there's another quarterback sitting on that bench who doesn't even get garbage time reps in blowout losses. His name is Shedeur Sanders, and the story of how he ended up buried on the depth chart is absolutely insane. Let's rewind to where this disaster actually started. The Browns used premium draft capital on Dillon Gabriel, immediately gave him the nickname Supercomputer, and announced from day one that he was the guy. Meanwhile, Shedeur Sanders, the supremely talented son of Deion Sanders, fell to the 5th round. The Browns grabbed him, and then a completely different narrative started taking shape. Gabriel was polished and pro-ready. Shedeur was a project. Gabriel got all the first-team reps. Shedeur was relegated to scout team duties. Gabriel was anointed the starter before preseason games even began. Shedeur was buried under a mountain of character concerns and readiness questions that seemed to appear out of nowhere. Fast forward to right now. The Browns are sitting at 2 wins and 6 losses. The season is effectively over, and their supercomputer quarterback is posting statistics that aren't just bad, they're historically terrible. Dillon Gabriel is averaging 5.1 yards per pass attempt. That ranks 38th in the entire NFL. There are only 32 starting quarterbacks in the league. Think about that for a second. Gabriel is performing worse than multiple backup quarterbacks who only see the field when someone gets injured. This is the guy they gave every possible advantage to succeed. This is the guy they protected with favorable media coverage while systematically destroying the reputation of the other rookie quarterback on their roster. Cleveland sports radio host Darryl Reuter called Gabriel's performance unwatchable. Not disappointing. Not struggling through growing pains. Unwatchable. Game after game, Browns fans have been subjected to an offense that looks completely dysfunctional. Gabriel checks down on 3rd and long when you have to attack downfield. He takes unnecessary sacks. He throws wounded duck passes that flutter through the air without velocity or accuracy. He plays scared football that makes you question whether he belongs on an NFL field at all. So if Gabriel's performance has been this consistently terrible, why is he still the unquestioned starter? Why is Shedeur Sanders, who looked significantly better in preseason action, buried so deep on the bench that he's not even getting practice reps with the first team? Head coach Kevin Stefanski recently admitted publicly that Shedeur isn't getting first-team reps in practice. They're not even preparing their backup quarterback to potentially step in. They're so committed to the Dillon Gabriel experiment that they're willing to sacrifice the entire season rather than give the more talented option a legitimate opportunity. The answer to why this is happening reveals the real story, and that hot mic moment accidentally exposed it to the world. For months, there's been a coordinated, systematic attack on Shedeur Sanders' character and reputation orchestrated by people within the Cleveland media establishment. All designed to justify keeping their hand-picked quarterback as the starter regardless of performance. You want proof? Let me walk you through it. Remember back in the offseason when Shedeur got pulled over for speeding? He was going way over the limit, 91 in a 65 and 101 in a 60. Serious violations that absolutely deserve criticism. But what happened next in the media was absolutely revealing. The Cleveland media machine exploded. This story was everywhere simultaneously. Every sports talk show led with it for multiple days. Every Browns blog wrote extensive pieces analyzing the implications. The narrative that emerged was immediate, coordinated, and vicious. Is this guy serious about football? Is Deion's kid just another entitled spoiled brat? Can you trust someone this reckless to make good decisions on the field? Now fast forward just a couple weeks later. Who else gets pulled over for speeding? Myles Garrett. And how fast was he going? 100 miles per hour in a 60-mile-per-hour zone. That's exactly as fast, if not faster than Shedur's tickets. So surely the media coverage was exactly the same, right? Not even close. The coverage of Garrett's speeding ticket was barely a blip on the radar, a footnote that disappeared within 24 hours. Where were the videos questioning his character? Where were the days of sports talk radio segments about his judgment and leadership? They didn't exist. The narrative was completely different. That's just Myles being Myles. He's got to be more careful. It was treated as a minor mistake from an otherwise outstanding player. The double standard wasn't just noticeable, it was absolutely blatant. Shedur's speeding ticket was treated as a major scandal, raising serious questions about his character. Myles Garrett's speeding ticket, which was exactly as serious, was treated as a minor oopsie we should all move past. You cannot tell me with a straight face that this isn't a disgusting double standard that reveals the media agenda in crystal clear detail. And here's the really infuriating part. While the Cleveland media was working overtime to drag Shedur's name through the mud, do you know what he was actually doing? He was going directly to the people, completely bypassing the traditional media gatekeepers. Shedeur was pulling up unannounced at local high schools throughout the community. He was surprising youth football teams with visits, connecting with kids, talking to them about their lives and dreams, telling them genuinely that he was going to help bring a Super Bowl championship to Cleveland. This was genuine community engagement without any media handlers or PR teams orchestrating carefully staged photo ops. But instead of that being celebrated as exactly the kind of character you want in franchise quarterback, it was either completely ignored by the local media or somehow spun as evidence that he was unfocused on football. Every single thing he did was filtered through the most negative possible interpretation. Good works in the community became distractions. Confidence became arrogance. Self-advocacy became entitlement. But the final piece of evidence, the real smoking gun, is the Tony Grossi story. After a preseason game, where Shedeur absolutely balled out, he was walking away from the podium and spotted Tony Grossi standing there among the media members. Now, any other rookie would have kept his head down and kept walking. You don't confront Tony Grossi. He's royalty in that press room, a man who's covered the Browns for decades with deep connections throughout the organization. But Shedeur Sanders isn't any other rookie. He walked right up to Tony Grossi in front of everyone, with his brother filming the entire interaction, looked him dead in the eye, and said directly, "Tony, I'd be hoping you got something positive to say about me. You only say negative stuff about me, and I'm like, I ain't do nothing to you." A fifth-round rookie quarterback called out the most powerful and influential media figure in Cleveland sports directly to his face for being unfairly negative in his coverage. He didn't play the political game. He didn't kiss the ring. He confronted the king and told him, "I see exactly what you're doing." From that moment forward, the agenda was locked in stone. This kid was too confident, too aware of media games. He had too much independent power through his own platform and his father's influence. He couldn't be controlled the way young players typically can be. They had to keep him permanently buried on the bench and prop up someone they could control. That someone was Dillon Gabriel. And so the campaign began. Every practice report emphasized Gabriel's command of the offense. Every preseason analysis focused on his quick decision-making. Meanwhile, when Shedeur's name came up at all, it was always with qualifiers attached. He's talented, but he needs to develop. He's confident, but maybe too confident. The coverage was so lopsided that Browns fans who were actually watching preseason games with their own eyes started questioning what they were seeing. Shedeur would make incredible throws demonstrating touch and arm talent that Gabriel simply didn't possess. But none of that mattered because the narrative had already been written. Now everything is falling apart spectacularly. The carefully constructed narrative can't survive contact with the harsh reality of actual NFL game performance. And the media members who spent months building up Gabriel and tearing down Shedeur are in full panic mode, desperately trying to distance themselves from their own previous analysis. Then came Darrell Reuter's absolutely nuclear radio segment that blew the lid off everything. He didn't just criticize Gabriel, he completely incinerated the entire organizational decision-making process. "I am so frustrated that Andrew Berry did this," Reuter said, "that they kept shoving this guy down our throats. I told you in training camp, this guy wasn't it. This is unwatchable." He went even further, stating plainly that Gabriel is not an NFL quarterback based on what we're seeing right now. This isn't some random caller venting frustration. This is a credible, well-connected media member who covers this team professionally, admitting what has been obvious to anyone with functioning eyeballs for weeks. The mask has completely slipped off. The agenda is exposed. The narrative has crumbled. And Browns fans are watching it all unfold in real time, vindicated in everything they suspected all along. This was never about who was the better quarterback. This was about control, about narratives, about an organization, and its complicit media partners deciding who the guy would be before anyone ever took a meaningful snap. If you want to stay updated on all the latest Browns news and the truth behind what's really happening with this team, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to Browns Breakout. We're not afraid to tell you what the mainstream media won't. The question now is, how long can this charade continue? How many more unwatchable performances before someone in that organization has the courage to admit they got this catastrophically wrong? Browns fans deserve better than this. They deserve the truth. And finally, after months of manipulation and media spin, the truth is coming out, whether the powers that be like it or not.